Hello, hello. All right, so we're going to start the live workshop in about 7 minutes or so. And we're just going to wait for folks to join in on the chat. Looks like we've got a good group here already. Good to see all you guys here today. Hey, so can you guys just confirm that you hear my my audio okay? Awesome. So I'm just going to hop in and out of the chat here for a couple of minutes and see where all you guys are coming from. Northern California. I heard some folks from the UK earlier. So where's everybody based? Poland, NYC, very cool. Atlanta, nice. Ireland. Hey, so just a quick apology for those of you out in Europe. Sorry, I kind of screwed up the time of the GMT time zone there. For some reason, whenever I do these things, I can never get that right. I'm always either an hour ahead or an hour behind. But anyway, the live workshop will be starting at 7 p.m. GMT time. And for those of us in the North America, same time, 2 p.m., 11 a.m. So 2 p.m. Eastern time, 11 p.m. 11 a.m. Wow, I gotta get this stuff together. 11 a.m. Pacific. Iowa, not the potato state. That's the cornfield state, isn't it? Hey, so what does everybody do here? What kind of work are you guys working on? Oh, that's what happened. The clocks went back over there. See, that's what happened. I set up those emails about a week ago, and I guess I Googled it like 5 times to try to check what time is GMT, and I thought I had it right, but the time change happened, kind of snuck up on me yesterday, I guess. Hey, Matt Medeiros, I know you. Italy. Wow, I'm actually surprised at how many European folks are here. That's awesome. Dallas, Texas, very cool. Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah, so you guys may or may not know I'm actually traveling across the U.S. right now. Right now this is coming from Asheville, North Carolina. I'm originally from the New York City area, lived in Connecticut for a number of years, but I'm in North Carolina right now, which is beautiful. And after this, so the end of November, I'll be heading down to Austin, Texas, and living there for about 6 weeks. So anyone in the Austin, Dallas, San Antonio area, maybe we can do a meetup. And then next year I'll be living in Colorado for a couple of months as well. Very cool. So we'll be starting up the live workshop in just about 4 minutes while we let people join in here on the chat. Yeah, I actually, believe it or not, my first trip to Europe was about 2 months ago. I went out to Barcelona for MicroConf Europe, and that was my very first time for both my wife and I to head out to Europe, but we will definitely try to get back there as soon as we can. It was beautiful. Nice. Scott, real estate broker. Very cool. It's always good to see folks who aren't, doing what most of us here are doing: design, development, WordPress. I love to hear from folks who, in my newsletter and whatnot, who are doing other kind of stuff. Heard from a lot of accountants lately, and uh, fitness professionals, fitness trainers, a lot of teachers, coaches. Love the web developers too, though. Hey, Jason Resnick. Yacht broker lead generation. I like it. All right, so another minute or so here before we'll get started. Oh, Charlotte, that's not too far from where I'm at right now. Oh, physical paper planner. Very cool. Someone asked, where am I? Right now, I'm based in Asheville, North Carolina, and my family and I are kind of doing this long-term travel thing across the U.S. right now. I'm originally from the New York, Connecticut area, and right now living in Asheville for another 3 weeks or so, and then after this, we're heading down to Austin, Texas for a couple weeks. I see there are several productized students here as well. Good to have you guys. Awesome to see you here in the live chat. All right, so we're just going to get started here in just a couple seconds. Jason, sorry about that. I'm misspelling your name there. I'll have to fix that after the workshop today. All right, cool. So we're gonna get started here on the workshop. As you know, it's called Grow Your Email List at Scale, and I've got a lot packed into today's lesson, so I hope you get a lot out of it, and I do hope that you guys will stick around for the entire session here. Before I get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. I've been, checking out the chat for the last 10 minutes or so, but from this point forward, I'm going to be focused on the presentation and the notes. So I'm not really going to be able to see the chat as it's happening, but there will be a live Q&A at the end. And at that point, I will hop into the chat and see the questions that you guys are asking. And I'll also scroll back up to see what kind of questions that I missed during the presentation. So I will be answering questions for as long as it takes. So definitely stay tuned for that at the end. But for now, let's get right into it. And let me just check the visual here. Okay, looking good. All right, so let me start with a quick story. Back in 2013, that was the year that I started building my email list. And at that point, this was around, I'd say April 2013 or so, I had 0 people on my email list. And I just set out with a goal of building some sort of list. I didn't know how many people I would be able to attract and how long it would take, but I just knew that I needed to start growing my audience if I was going to really do anything with my websites and my business. So the first thing that I did was I added a simple newsletter sign-up box in the sidebar of my blog. And so how did that go? Well, here's a look at the first few months of trying to grow my email list. That very first month, I had 8 subscribers join my email list. Those were my first subscribers. Woohoo! Next month, down to 0. No new subscribers. Then in the next month, 22, and then down to 10. And then I had 34 new subscribers in the month after that. So I must have had some kind of spike in traffic. Maybe one of my posts went semi-viral or somebody shared it or something like that. Then down to 27, down to 3. So as you can see, it was pretty up and down, wouldn't you say? Well, let's compare that to what it looks like today. This is my list growth as it stands today, kind of looking back on the last 6 or 7 months or so. Today on my email list, I'm seeing about 300 new subscribers being added every single month. And occasionally I'll still see the big spike in traffic. As you can see, like 2 months ago, I was a guest on a pretty high profile podcast, and that brought in like an extra 700 subscribers. A few months back before that, I co-hosted a podcast with a pretty well-known, a webinar, a workshop with a pretty well-known host, and that brought in a lot of subscribers. But even despite those one-time spikes, if and when they happen, I'm still maintaining this baseline growth of around 300 or so new subscribers every month. And the things that I'm doing, add to this number year after year. And so what's the difference between what I'm seeing today versus what I saw back in 2013? Well, the difference now is that I've learned how to grow my list at scale. And so in today's workshop, I'm going to be teaching you a number of things. But the first concept that I want to get across here is that I'm going to be speaking to you whether you have 0 subscribers right now, or if you have some sort of list and you're looking to grow it and maybe grow it in a more consistent, scalable way. I'm going to address both of these scenarios throughout today's workshop. We're going to talk about how to develop your primary lead magnet and what that actually is and what that means. Then we're going to get into content upgrades, which can actually multiply the number of entry points into your list, and that could be very powerful. We'll do a deep dive on that. And then finally, we'll finish up the lesson with 5 repeatable tactics for generating traffic and converting visitors into email subscribers. And at the end of today's lesson, I'll be sending all of you a free bonus template that you can use. So be sure to stick around until the end to hear about that. And as I said, there will be a live Q&A session at the end. So I'll stick around to answer everybody's questions. I've also been collecting a lot of the questions from the surveys that you guys filled out. So a lot of really great questions there. I'll be tackling some of those. And as many of you know, today is the first day that we're also opening up early access for the content upgrades plugin. And I'll tell you all about that at the end, and the early access discount and whatnot. So for those of you I may not have met yet, my name is Brian Castle. I am the founder of Audience Ops. We're a content marketing company, and we do a done-for-you blogging service for online businesses. Before this, I built and sold my last company, Restaurant Engine. And that was marketed primarily using content marketing and email list building. And throughout the years, even through today, I still write on my personal blog over at castjam.com, and I teach courses like the Productize course there. And that's where I've built up my personal email list. That newsletter list has grown to over 7,000 subscribers as of today. So you guys remember that movie Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner, right? He heard this voice, and it said, "If you build it, they will come." And so he built this baseball field, and then magically a group of professional ball players appeared out of the cornfields, and they came and played on his field. Well, in a way, most people today are kind of treating their blogs kind of the same way. It's like as if they think that just having a blog and just writing consistently, then that's enough to get people to magically join your email list. Well, unfortunately, your email list doesn't work the same way that it might work in Hollywood. So here's the thing, and this point is really important. Even if you write really great stuff, really valuable, really insightful articles on your blog, that in itself is not enough to convince a casual reader of your blog that they should enter their email address in that email sign-up box right now. Because you have to give them some sort of incentive to take that action. They have to know that when they receive, they have to know that if they enter their email address today on your blog, they're going to receive something extra in addition to that content that you've published in exchange for giving you their email address. And so this, of course, is where we get into lead magnets. And this is where lead magnets come into play. This is that incentive that you're offering to your visitors to join your email list. And I know that this may sound a little bit basic to some of you, like this idea of a lead magnet, but I do want to clarify one thing here. What I'm talking about here is the primary lead magnet. And what I mean by that is you should develop a single evergreen bundle of educational content, such as an email course. And that's kind of my preferred method of doing a primary lead magnet, is this email course that kind of drips out educational content over a number of days. And that primary lead magnet, that email course or ebook or whatever it is that you decide to put together, should be designed to lead new subscribers, recent subscribers into your list through a series of educational emails and content that actually teach them something and help them solve certain problems, answer certain questions. And then all of that leads into a relevant pitch or an offer for your product or service. Now, your primary lead magnet is that thing that you can promote everywhere. You can promote it across your website and all of your calls to action. You can run ads to it. You can mention it when you're a guest on other people's podcasts and blogs. You know, for example, when I'm a guest on people's podcasts, often the host would ask, you know, near the end of the interview, they would say something like, well, hey, Brian, where can folks connect with you? Where can people reach out to you? And I usually say something like, you can connect with me on Twitter, but also check out this free course that's available on my site, and that will teach you all about the things that we've been talking about today. So you can do a similar thing, whether you're a guest on podcasts or even if you're doing guest articles somewhere. Those articles should, in your byline, should point back to your primary lead magnet on your site. And then again, your primary lead magnet is that thing that would educate new subscribers and bring them through a sequence that ultimately leads to some sort of pitch or offer for your product. But, and this is a big but, it will take time to develop this primary lead magnet. And if you're literally starting from ground zero today, then you'll probably want to actually hold off on this for at least a couple of weeks, because first you really want to understand who your target customer is. That way you'll have a much better sense of what the topic is and what would really make the most sense to educate that target customer, and what would make the most sense to lead them into a pitch for your product or service. It has to make sense for your business. And before you can really get to that point, you have to understand who you're selling to, who your target customer is. And that takes a little bit of time. And then, of course, developing the primary lead magnet itself, like an email course or an ebook or a video course, that takes time as well. And you want to make sure that the time that you invest in that is spent correctly. You don't want to be creating content for the wrong audience or the wrong target customer. You want to spend some time and figure that out. So if you haven't built your primary lead magnet yet and you're still figuring out, you know, who your target customer is, then how can you actually start to grow your email list today? How can you get going on that right now? Well, that's where content upgrades come into play. And in this next part of the workshop, I'm going to teach you how to actually make this strategy work. So first, here's why content upgrades can be so beneficial when you're building your email list. First, you can start attracting email subscribers from your very first blog post. In fact, this was the exact strategy that I used just in the last couple of months to get our first 225 email subscribers on the Audience Ops email list. This was before I even started promoting this workshop here today. Before that, in the first 5 weeks of publishing to our blog, when we as of today, we still haven't yet developed our primary lead magnet. That'll be coming out a couple of weeks from now. We'll be doing an email course. But before that, the first 5 weeks, we attracted 225 email subscribers, and they all came in through content upgrades, which we've been adding to each of our weekly blog posts on the Audience Ops blog. Another benefit is you can drive even more email subscribers with every single blog post. And this is where content upgrades become really powerful. So by adding a content upgrade to a blog post, which I'll show you in a minute, you're adding another unique entry point for readers to join your email list. If you add content upgrades to multiple posts and continue to add them as you publish new posts, then you multiply the number of entry points into your list. At Audience Ops, when we create blog posts for our clients, we actually create these content upgrades as well, and we add them to each and every blog post that we publish for our clients. And that's been working extremely well and helping them grow their lists. Finally, by using content upgrades, you can turn all of those casual flyby readers of your blog into subscribers who you can then follow up with and turn into loyal members of your audience. And remember, just because somebody Googled for an answer to something and they found your article or they found you on social media and they read one of your articles does not mean that they're necessarily going to go actively seek out your email newsletter. They have to be presented with some sort of incentive, like a content upgrade, like some extra piece of bonus content, which we'll get into in a minute. When I first began using content upgrades a few years ago, one of the very first things that I did was I went back to all of my best posts from the previous year, the ones that continuously bring me traffic from search and social media. And I added a content upgrade email opt-in to those old posts, and immediately I saw an increase in email subscribers. I was able to capitalize on all that evergreen content that's been bringing me organic traffic every month. And before I added these content upgrades, it was just traffic that probably just came and went. But now that I added these unique post-specific email opt-ins on those posts, I'm able to convert a lot of those visitors into email subscribers. Okay, so what is a content upgrade? It's an extra piece of bonus content to go along with a specific blog post, which you give away in exchange for your reader's email address. Okay, so how about some stats on how well content upgrades can perform? So the digital marketing trainer and popular blogger Brian Dean saw a 785% increase in email opt-ins when he started implementing content upgrades on the Backlink Go blog. And when he reported that stat, he said that he did that on a 4,700 visitor sample size. So we're not talking about just a fluke, 785% on like 10 subscribers. I mean, 4,700 people, that's a pretty good test. Brian Harris, another popular blogger who blogs on the Video Fruit blog, he reported that once he started adding content upgrades to his blog posts, he routinely saw a 20 to 30% increase in email conversions and sometimes up to 62% increase in email signups, thanks to content upgrades. For me personally, content upgrades have been instrumental in building my list on my personal site over on castjam.com. In fact, at least 30% of my list joined through one of my many content upgrades that I've been publishing along with most of my blog articles. And as I said, we're using it again in Audience Ops, where we do content upgrades on every blog post. Okay, so why do content upgrades convert so well and so consistently? Well, first, they offer something genuinely useful to the reader. They're actionable, and they help the reader put what they just learned in the article into action. But most of all, the reason why content upgrades work so well is they're highly relevant to the article that they came with. So let me give you an example. So let's say that I wrote an article about creating a basic content marketing sales funnel. I can offer a content upgrade on that post where I give away a worksheet to help you track key metrics in your sales funnel. And if you were Googling for information about sales funnels, about content marketing sales funnels, and then you came across my article and you found it helpful, wouldn't you also want to get your hands on this tool, this worksheet, to help you track the stats in your sales funnel as I've taught it in the article? You see how there's a direct connection there in the topic or the intent that you have when you're coming to find the answer and find resources for a specific problem that you have today. Both the article speaks to that problem, and the content upgrade, the bonus content that's offered, also helps you tackle that problem. And by the way, that article that I just mentioned, A Basic Content Marketing Sales Funnel, is a real article that I published a couple weeks ago on the Audience Ops blog. Okay, so how does a content upgrade actually work? Well, let me show you that actual article that I just mentioned. So here it is. We're looking at the article on the Audience Ops blog, and it's called A Basic Content Marketing Sales Funnel. And in this article, I teach how content marketing can help you turn organic traffic into customers for your business. And if you scroll down to the middle of the article, or scroll all the way to the end of it, you'll find two of these call to action boxes. Do you see that box with the dashed line around it and the green button? So that's the call to action for the content upgrade. And when you click that button, the reader is presented with this pop-up, and this is where they're offered this extra piece of content. In this case, it's a metrics tracking spreadsheet to go along with this article. And once they fill out that pop-up, they're immediately sent an email containing a link to download their bonus content. And here's what that email looks like. Meanwhile, in the background, the reader's info gets passed into your email marketing tool and tagged appropriately. And now they're a subscriber to your list who you can then follow up with. So one question that I hear a lot is, how do you come up with a good idea for a content upgrade? Or to put it another way, what is it that makes one particular content upgrade successful? And specifically, how do you come up with the bonus content that's so attractive that will get people to enter their email address and subscribe to get their hands on that bonus content? Well, let me reiterate what I said earlier. It really comes down to these three important tips. The bonus content that you offer has to be useful. It should be something that your reader will want to put into use. And based on the topic of the article, you can make certain assumptions about who that person is and what they would find useful. Next, it has to be actionable. So the content of the bonus content that you're giving away has to be action-oriented. Give the user a checklist or some guidance on how to take action to accomplish a certain result. And finally, it has to be relevant. The content upgrade, the bonus content, should be highly relevant to the topic of the article that it came with. Again, this is the thing that makes a content upgrade convert so well with readers, because they're already seeking answers to their questions. They're seeking guidance. They're seeking a resource for this particular topic. So you're just giving them more of that answer, a better, more actionable, relevant tool to go along with the article. Okay, so remember at the beginning, I promised a free bonus that I'll be giving you today. Well, here it is. Since you guys attended this workshop, I'm going to be sending you a free download. You'll get that later today. And that'll contain 6 unique templates that you can use when creating a bonus content for your content upgrades. So you can use this to speed up your creative process when you make sure that your content upgrades really convert, or it'll help you really, create these content upgrades so that they really convert into email subscribers. Because these 6 templates, for example, there's like a worksheet template, a checklist template, and a couple others. They're really designed to help you get into that mindset of creating something useful, actionable, and relevant to go along with your articles. And these are actually the very same templates that we use at Audience Ops when we create content upgrades for our clients. All right, so I've got one more section of the lesson today, which I'll get right into. And then, of course, after that, we'll get into the live Q&A. All right, so the last part of today's lesson is I want to talk about a few ways that you can actually drive traffic to your blog and get those visitors to join your email list. Now, there are a lot of things that will bring big bursts of traffic to your site and big one-time spikes in traffic. And those are great when they happen, but they're not exactly sustainable. For example, if you get covered by a high profile publication, or one of your blog posts goes viral on social media, or some high profile person shares your stuff, some influencer shares your thing, that stuff is awesome when it happens. And it brings a lot of traffic and maybe a lot of subscribers, but you can't actually, make those things happen. They're kind of just a byproduct of publishing content consistently over a long period of time. And when you are publishing content, that stuff will happen. But today, I just want to focus on a couple of repeatable tactics that you can put into action to drive new traffic to your site consistently month after month. And so here are some of these tactics that you can test out. The first is organic search optimization. And this is really just another byproduct of publishing consistently. So when you're publishing blog posts on a consistent weekly basis and over time, this will naturally increase your organic search engine rankings for a number of reasons. I mean, mostly you're adding more pages to your site, again, more entry points for traffic to come into your site. But you can do some keyword optimization on those posts. But really these days, it's all about figuring out who your target customer is, publishing content, publishing blog posts that helps your target customer solve their problems, and doing that on a consistent basis. And the more value that you're adding, the higher your Google search rankings will go, and the more attractive your site will be to your target customers. And that's really what's most important. Of course, Google search engine optimization is kind of a long-term play. So there are a few more things that you can do to get some short-term traction. Guest posts and being a guest on podcasts is a good one. So you can submit guest articles to other blogs in your space. And again, this is not a very new concept, but it still works very effective. I've been doing it for years. And if you've never published a guest post on somebody else's blog, there's no reason why you shouldn't start. You can start by targeting relatively smaller audience blogs and kind of pitch the editor, send them a cold email, pitch a really relevant topic for their audience, and see if you can get something accepted. Don't worry about payment for guest posts or anything. It's really just all about getting in front of somebody else's audience. And then as you do a couple of those, you can start to work your way up to bigger and bigger blogs. You can start to leverage previous guest articles that you've written to say, hey, Mr. Editor of a larger blog, these are the articles that I've written before. Here's a unique topic that I'd like to pitch for your site. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Something along those lines. And remember, when you're publishing guest articles, you always want to promote your primary lead magnet in your byline, and that's what's going to send traffic back to your site and get them to join your email list. And the same goes for podcasts. As I said, when I'm a guest on somebody's podcast, I always mention at the end, or I try to mention, when they ask me, where can folks connect with me? Well, you can head over to my site and join my free email course on this topic that we've been talking about. So you should have that primary lead magnet. Again, it might take you some time to get that built and into place, but that's the thing that you're sending traffic to everywhere that you go. The next tactic here is answering questions on Quora or Reddit or other forums or communities within your industry. But you can go on these places and find really relevant questions that people are asking that are related to the content that you've been publishing. Go in there and answer a question and give a really thoughtful, complete answer, and then link back to your article on that very topic to say, for more depth, check out this article that we recently published. You can even promote a content upgrade there. Say, we're also giving away this extra resource to help you put this thing into action, something like that. You can also test out promoted posts on Facebook and Twitter. So when you're posting your latest blog posts to Facebook, you can then buy promoted posts, essentially newsfeed ads, pointing traffic to those articles. And then if you put a content upgrade on those blog articles, then that traffic that you're paying for can convert into subscribers of your email list, potentially leads for your business. Retargeting ads are another method that I've had some success with over the years. You can run retargeting ads to people who have visited your website before or visited one of your blog posts, but haven't yet opted into your email list. And then you can point those ads to an article that has a content upgrade on it so that they have the opportunity to join your email list, or point them straight to a landing page for your lead magnet. All right, so before we dive into the live Q&A session, I want to talk about one more particular question that I've heard from readers again and again, and that is, how do I set up those content upgrades on my blog? Well, I used to do it manually. So on my personal site, when I've been adding these content upgrades over the years, since it was just my own blog, I felt somewhat okay with just setting it up custom. And frankly, that was a huge pain. I mean, I had to add custom code to my blog in order to set up those call to action boxes, and then more custom code to set up that pop-up. And then I'd have to put in a form in that pop-up and connect that to MailChimp. And then later on, I switched to Drip, and then I had to go back and update all my forms. And then in Drip or MailChimp or whatever, I had to set up a custom autoresponder for each and every content upgrade. And I'd have to like link that file to Dropbox or somewhere where they can download the file from. So, I mean, all in all, it took me over an hour every single time just to set up a content upgrade. And that doesn't even include the extra time it took me to create that extra bonus content. So this year when I started Audience Ops, I knew that we should do content upgrades for our clients because I know how effective that is. But I knew that we couldn't do it custom the way that I did on my personal site. So a couple of months ago, we built our own WordPress plugin to make a more streamlined way of adding these content upgrades to our clients' sites. And that really sped up the process a lot, and it also made it more effective. And so today, as many of you know, we're now releasing this plugin to the public, and it's called Content Upgrades by Audience Ops. And today, November 10th, is the very first day that we're opening it up for early access subscribers. So that's you guys here on this workshop, to be the first ones to start using the Content Upgrades plugin. And so in just a moment, I'll share pricing info and the exclusive discount for you guys. But let me share some more about the plugin first. Here's what one user of the Content Upgrades plugin had to say. He said, "The Content Upgrades plugin saved me so much time, it was crazy. I literally downloaded it and installed it, filled out a few fields, and it was ready to use in minutes. I'm seriously impressed." So we've built our plugin to be the most efficient way to implement content upgrades on any blog post or page on your site. There's no custom coding required. There are no autoresponders to set up for each individual content upgrade. The plugin handles that part automatically. It has built-in email templates and call to action boxes, and they have smart template tags, which make it a breeze to set up multiple content upgrades on any blog post or page. Everything is customizable, from the colors to the style of the call to action, to the headline text, the button text, the email text. You can tweak and customize to your heart's content. So I already showed you earlier how the content upgrade experience appears to your readers. And to recap, here's a blog article. And if you scroll down, you'll see somewhere in the middle of the article and maybe near the end, a call to action for the content upgrade. You can insert it anywhere that you want. And when the reader clicks that button, they see this pop-up, which offers an extra piece of content in exchange for their email address. Once the reader fills out that form, they're immediately sent an email containing the link to download their bonus content. And here's what that email looks like. Meanwhile, in the background, the reader's info gets passed over to your email marketing tool and tagged appropriately. And now that they're a subscriber to your list, you can now follow up with them, send them newsletters, send them a sequence of emails that educates them and makes a pitch for your product. This screen here is showing my Drip account, which is the email marketing tool that I use, but the plugin integrates just as well with MailChimp. And you can also import subscribers into any other email marketing tool as well. Okay, so now let's take a look at the back end and see how easy it is for you to set up a content upgrade. First, you just create a new content upgrade and upload your bonus content like a PDF document. Next, just customize the pop-up headline, the description, and the button text. And this next step, which is optional, really, you don't have to do this every single time, but you can customize the email that is sent to the user, or you can simply use your preset smart template, which has smart template tags built into it, which will automatically insert the link to download the bonus content for this content upgrade. Again, this step is optional, but you can then customize the settings for your email marketing tool. The plugin will automatically subscribe the person to your list in Drip or in MailChimp, or you can import all of your entries into any other tool. And you can assign it. So if you're using Drip, you can assign tags, you can fire off a custom event. The plugin will also automatically assign a unique tag for each individual content upgrade using the title of the content upgrade. So that makes it easy. You don't even have to set that up each time. It just does that automatically. But you can tweak it if you need to. Or if you're using MailChimp, then you can assign subscribers to a list or to a group in MailChimp. And this one is really interesting because if, the problem that I used to run into all the time when I was on MailChimp was if I have existing subscribers and I want them to opt in for some additional piece of content, like a content upgrade, I can't automatically send them a response email. Like they can't automatically get an autoresponder if they're already a subscriber in MailChimp. So this plugin is kind of a workaround for that. It allows existing subscribers to get the content that they've opted in for and get assigned to a group or a list in MailChimp, even if they're already subscribed somewhere. So once you've created that content upgrade, then just go ahead and edit your blog post. And there you have the option to insert a content upgrade using a WordPress shortcode, which is easy to customize. You can customize the text, or you can insert just a regular HTML link to trigger the content upgrade anywhere on your site. Then just publish the post and you're done. And just to take a look at some of the settings in the plugin, you can customize the design and the style of the call to action. You can even add your own custom CSS in there. And as of today's workshop, the plugin seamlessly integrates with MailChimp and Drip. And we're continuously adding new integrations as well. But you can always export all of your entries to a CSV file, which you can then import into any email marketing tool. And by the way, I actually got a question about this earlier today. Even if you're not using MailChimp or Drip, let's say you're using Aweber or something, using the content upgrades plugin, the people who opt in for your content upgrades will still be sent that automatic email response containing the content upgrade link. After that, you can export them to a CSV and put them into Aweber or Infusionsoft or whatever you're using. But it doesn't rely on the email marketing tool to send that response email. It's actually being sent from WordPress, which makes it really seamless and really easy. So as you know, Content Upgrades is a WordPress plugin, which means it has all of the convenient benefits of any other WordPress plugin. So you'll just install it on your own website, which means it's your data, your list, your settings, all of your content, all of that resides on your own server. And we at Audience Ops are continuously making updates and improvements to the plugin, adding new integrations and whatnot. And those updates get automatically pushed to your WordPress site as a dashboard update to the plugin. And of course, it's a WordPress plugin, so there are no monthly fees to use the Content Upgrades plugin. And that brings me to pricing. So as you know, there are many other tools out there, well, some tools, and they kind of range from $30 a month up to $100 a month for somewhat similar functionality. But those SaaS subscription tools, they aren't quite designed specifically for building content upgrades the way that our plugin is, as I've showed you. And so a 1 year, so the content upgrades, which comes with 1 year of updates and support, costs just a one-time fee. And so here's what the regular pricing for the content upgrades plugin looks like. And this pricing will be published to the public next week on November 16th. So the personal license costs $49, and you can install it on one website. The business license costs $99, and that enables you to install it on up to 3 websites. And if you're like me and you have like a personal blog and a business blog, then that's probably a good license for you. Then the agency license costs $249, and that enables you to install the plugin on up to 10 websites. So if you're installing it on several clients' websites, then this is probably the best value by far. All licenses come with 1 year of automatic updates and customer support, and you can create unlimited content upgrades on any blog post or any page in WordPress. So starting today, November 10th through this Sunday, November 15th, this is the early access period. It's this week only, 20% off. Everybody on this workshop and all the early access subscribers can get 20% off using the discount code early access. And to buy that today or anytime this week, you can go to contentupgrades.io/early, and that will take you straight to the page on Audience Ops to purchase the plugin and download your copy, and again, use that coupon code early access. So here's what Justin McGill, founder of LeadFuse, had to say after he started using the Content Upgrades plugin. He said, after putting the Content Upgrades plugin into action on just a couple of our blog posts, we saw a 220% increase in signups. Now we use it on every single blog post, and we've made it a standard part of our writing process. All right, so that's all I had for you today for today's workshop. As you know, you could always reach out to me on Twitter. I'm at CastJam. My email address is brian@audienceops.com. If you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out. And once again, to start using Content Upgrades, the plugin today, head over to contentupgrades.io/early, and to get 20% off, use the coupon code early access, and that's happening today through this Sunday, November 15th. And with that, I'm going to take a glass of water so I don't die of thirst here, and then we'll get into some live Q&A. All right, so I'm going to hop into the live chat here and kind of roll through and see some of the questions that have been coming through. I see some of them that have just popped up, and before I get into those, I'm actually going to just take a couple of questions that came through on the pre-workshop survey that went out, because there were a couple of questions here that were really good questions, and they kind of came up again and again from multiple people. So I want to cover some of those. One of those questions was, what else can I do aside from asking people for their email address on a blog post to get them to sign up? Well, again, this comes back to the idea that you have to offer some sort of incentive. You can't just say, hey, join my newsletter, which is what most people do. Kind of a generic, like, hey, I have a newsletter. Well, that's great. I mean, but what's in it for me? People are selfish. You guys are probably like that. I'm certainly like that. Like, I'm not going to enter my email address unless I'm going to get a thing of value. So you have to offer some useful, actionable item like a content upgrade or like an email course, a lead magnet, whatever that is. And then this question came up in multiple, a couple different ways. Somebody asked, how do I grow my email list with integrity? That's a really good question, because these days, all this marketing stuff that you see online, a lot of it can kind of come across as spammy, and you're not really sure. And I take this stuff very seriously. I mean, I actively grow my list there, but I'm trying to do it in with the most integrity that I can. And the way that I approach it is, I'm really just trying to help people, and by that I mean I'm really targeting specific problems that I know that people have expressed either to me or I've just heard people mention somewhere else, and I see a problem that's mentioned, and then I go after the ones that I feel that I have credibility in helping out with, or I have some experience to help teach, or provide answers, or provide some sort of solution, or maybe it's just sharing my own experience, something to help in that regard. And so that can manifest in so many different ways, whether it's writing a blog post, or going on a podcast, or writing an email course, or creating a premium course, or selling a product. All that stuff is aimed at solving problems. And I think that's what drives through that integrity question, is when you're helping people. That's really what this is all about. And so now I'm just going to jump back to the live chat and see some of these questions. Andy asks, what about other CRMs for the content upgrades plugin? So the plugin itself currently integrates with MailChimp and Drip, and you can export all of those contacts as a CSV, which you can then import into any CRM or any email marketing tool. Yeah, and like if you're using MailChimp or something, or Drip, you can even connect those to another CRM like HighRise or whatever CRM you're using. Using a lot of them have their own integrations with different CRMs, but you could, if not, you can check out Zapier.com, which is good for connecting different tools together. Another question from Andy. He said, what platform do you like for retargeting? I like the one perfectaudience.com. I always found that was the easiest for me to use and understand, and works pretty well. So yeah, I like that one. Level NIS asked, what would be a useful content upgrade for a technical article? Download the code used in that article. The code is usually in the article already, so is it a helpful addition to provide it as an upgrade as well? Well, that's a good question. Our friend Pippin Williamson offers a lot of really great blog posts and technical articles with WordPress plugin, like about WordPress plugin development. I don't know whether or not he's doing this right now or not, but I think in addition to posting the code that you can copy on the article itself, you can also offer like a downloadable plugin version of the code that's just ready to plug in and play. So even though, yes, a developer could take the code from the article and then copy it into their own plugin or integrate it in their own way, maybe just something to help them skip that step, like a simple WordPress plugin or a jQuery plugin or whatever it is, could be helpful. But it could also be more educational content too, right? So you can maybe the thing that you're writing about is a really complex, like multi-layered project, right? And so you can write the article, which covers about 70%, 80% of the thing you're building, and then say, hey, I also built this extra membership add-on for this thing, or here's a tutorial on how to enhance this even further, or how to integrate this with some other popular tool, something extra to go along with the content. How do you handle a single user signing up multiple times in MailChimp? That's a good question. So that was like the big problem with using MailChimp for a lot of people, including myself, back when I was using it. If somebody has already joined your list in MailChimp, and then you have, let's say you're doing a lot of content upgrades, as I'm recommending that you do, it's really difficult, if not impossible, for you to offer all of your existing subscribers more things that they can opt in for and get like an auto response for. And so that's what this plugin does if you're using MailChimp. It's a workaround for that, because when someone opts into a content upgrade, maybe they're opting into 3 or 5 or 7 different content upgrades on your site, every time they're always being sent that response email for that content upgrade. That comes straight from the plugin, straight from WordPress. And if they're already a subscriber in MailChimp, then nothing happens. Or if you've set it up so that they're supposed to be assigned to a certain group in MailChimp or a certain list in MailChimp, it'll update their subscription with that criteria. What made you see that you could solve a problem with the sea of plugins out there, and what is the roadmap for the plugin? Yeah, so I mean, this problem that we're tackling with the content upgrades plugin actually just came out of a need for us to have our own tool in audience ops. Like I said, we've started using this plugin about 4 months ago, or maybe like 3 months ago in audience ops. Because like before I even decided to release it and sell it, we had to get it built anyway, because we had to have an easy way to add these content upgrades to our client sites. And I first researched the other options. I looked at, subscription-based tools out there, and none of them really made sense. They didn't really give me the fine-grained control over where we want to put the upgrades, how they'll design, like how the look and feel of the design is, and just streamlining the process and making it easy for my team to put these on all the posts. So I knew pretty quickly that we needed to have our own WordPress plugin for this, and then it just made sense. Yes, what was the roadmap? So we will be adding other integrations like Aweber and Infusionsoft down the road. We'll probably add other feature enhancements, but for the most part, we're keeping it a pretty focused tool, specifically around just doing content upgrades. That's what this plugin is for. A/B testing on the horizon. That's a good question. Something that we'll think about. It could be a good idea, but again, we don't want it to get too bloated or too overly complex. So we'll look at that. Someone asked, can I update later to a business or a developer price? And the answer is yes. Yeah, you can definitely upgrade from one license to the next, whenever that makes sense for you. I think someone asked, what will the renewal fees look like? So the regular pricing, $49.99 and $249 is the price for a 1-year access to customer support and automatic updates. And so that's the default price for when you renew for a 2nd year. But you will be sent an email probably around a month before your year expires, and in that email, you'll get a slight discount to renew early. Does the plugin have any sort of analytics built in? If not, is that going to be integrated soon? That's a good question. We will be doing some sort of analytics, and actually that's a potential other plugin that we're going to be coming out with sometime next year. An analytics related plugin specifically for content marketing. And if we do that, then it will definitely be integrated with the content upgrades plugin. We might add some basic analytics into this plugin, just around how many opt-ins for your content upgrades that you receive. But you can kind of already see that now just by looking at the list of entries that you're getting in your content upgrades. So Daniel asks, how can I offer content upgrades to my web design clients? Most of them have no market target and no time, but impatient to see results. So that's a good question. I mean, we're offering creating content upgrades for our clients at Audience Ops. We just do that as part of our blogging process for them. I have seen some people offer like a productized service around just creating content upgrades. So you can go to your clients if they have blog articles and just say, hey, me or my team will create content upgrades for all of your existing blog articles, and you can charge a fee for that. Yeah, I mean, installing the content upgrades plugin on your client sites. The agency package is designed for that option. But yeah, I mean, having no target market does make it a little bit more difficult when you're coming up with topics. But over time, you can start to figure out, who are you selling your product or service to, and who does it really make sense for, and then start to tailor the content in that direction. The content I guess you offer one of these services that I was just talking about, where you offer content upgrade services to your clients. He's asking and he would like to refer them to our website. Do we have an affiliate program? As of today, we don't, but we will. Again, this is like brand new. Early access is opening up today. Sometime in the next few weeks, I do plan to set up an affiliate program. And if you're on the list, I'll probably make some sort of announcement to that once that comes out. I'd say probably another month or two before that becomes available. How long do you think the concept or practice of offering content upgrades on blog posts will stay fresh? So that's a good question. I think I heard about the idea of content upgrades about 2 years or so ago. I think it was about that long. And so that just goes to show you that it's been 2 years and they're still working, very effectively. And I think it's the kind of thing. I mean, look, there are always going to be like trendy little tactics and techniques and things, but I don't think that this is really so much of a trick or a tactic as a genuine strategy. I mean, you're actually offering more value and more content that actually helps solve a problem, and that's the kind of thing that's been working for 100 years, just in different forms. And as easy as it is to set up the content upgrade on your blog post using this plugin, creating the actual content upgrade, the bonus content, should take extra time. It does take extra time, and you want to put a lot of thought into that and actually provide something useful and something relevant. I'm sending you a free template that you can use to speed that process along, but it really does take some thought into who your target customers are, and you want to give them something that they can actually use. And that idea is timeless, the way I see it. Will there be a replay of this webinar? Yep, absolutely. So later today, anybody who had registered for it will be sent the recording for the workshop. So I'm going to hop back to some of the questions from the survey. Somebody asked, is MailChimp really the best option? I find that using their site is really unpleasant, and I've never really got that sorted out. Well, I think MailChimp is good for most people when they're starting out and they have like 0 subscribers, kind of starting from scratch, mainly because they have a pretty good free plan. And it's not too bad. It works. But as the next step up, Drip, which you can check out at getdrip.com, is definitely my tool of choice. I use it for my personal site. We use it on our Audience Ops. We use it for almost all of our clients. It's really good. Even if you're getting started from nothing, it's pretty good for that. But if you're looking for something that's like a little bit more powerful than MailChimp, actually very powerful, especially with all the automation rules, but it's also really easy to use. I mean, I've also used Infusionsoft, and it's just so complex to use. As powerful as it is, you can't really even understand it. But Drip and their customer support has been awesome, so I can't say enough good things about that. Somebody asked, what's the best way to get started growing my email list from zero? Not 100, not 1,000, zero. I like the way that he phrased that question. Let me just take a glass of water here. So that's a really good question. Here are the very first steps that I would recommend if you're just starting from scratch. First, you've got to figure out who you want to attract to your website. So we're talking about who do you want to sell to? Who are you selling to already, or who do you want to sell to in the future? And how to figure that out, how to find your target customer, well, think about what are the problems. What is the problem that you're well equipped to solve? Or if you know who you want to sell to, what are the problems that they have? And figure out, what is the problem that your product or service can solve, or maybe does solve already for that target customer. Once you get that understanding, then your next step should be to write some articles on those very topics, about those problems and about the solutions and why they matter to your target customer. And then include a content upgrade on each of those blog articles as a way to get readers to those articles to join your email list. And then once they're on your email list, then you can start to send them weekly newsletters with your next blog article and the one after that. And that's what gets people to return to your site again and again. And that starts to snowball as they return more and more, then they're more likely to start sharing your content. Of course, you can also use some of the traffic strategies that I talked about earlier. You can go on to Quora and answer questions and point people to your articles. You can purchase promoted posts on Facebook and Twitter to drive extra traffic, to gain that early traction before you have an audience. And then, once you get into a good writing rhythm and you know who you're writing for, and you're starting to build a little bit of an email list with content upgrades and whatnot, then you can start to develop your primary lead magnet, like an email course or an ebook or something, and then launch that on your site, and that should drive even more emails. So those would be the first steps from starting from zero. Somebody mentioned that they just switched to ConvertKit. I think what Nathan has done with ConvertKit has been awesome, and that one would definitely be on the list of tools that will integrate in the near future, in integrating with the Content Upgrades plugin. Again, today you can always export all of your entries from Content Upgrades and import them into ConvertKit or whatever else you're using. Yeah, so Graham asks, it seems as though you don't send the standard confirm your email address before adding them to your list. Is that a problem from a spam point of view? That's a good question, and different people will have different views on this, but the way that I see it, specifically around content upgrades, is they're filling out a form on your website and they're getting a response email from your website. And that's the very same operation that happens when someone fills out like your contact form or a customer support form or something. They're like a Gravity form. There's usually an auto response email, and that's really essentially all this plugin does. But it kind of just does it in a more systematic way. And then it does integrate with your email provider, MailChimp or Drip, and subscribes them there. In that tool, you can then set up a confirmation email if you want. I personally don't use the confirmation email for any of my lists. It's just a personal preference. I know that a lot of people do, and it kind of confirms their email address. But the way that I see it is, somebody took a specific action to get on my list. They had that intent, and if they're not, getting value from one of my emails, they can always unsubscribe. It's very easy to do that. So that's kind of my take on it. Let's see. Here was an interesting question I heard from a survey. The person asked, what techniques techniques can be used to gain additional email subscribers via referrals from current subscribers? And I really like that question because it's a good point. You can give current subscribers more and more value. And this is another place where content upgrades comes into play, because not only can it bring new subscribers into your list, by giving those existing subscribers, new content, but even new tools on a weekly, every 2 weeks basis, you're giving them more and more value. And that gives them, and that's really unique. I mean, most people are just sending newsletters and maybe an article here and there. But if you're actually sending them a free download once or twice a month to go along with that stuff, I mean, that's something extra. That you're kind of going the next step. So that makes it more likely for somebody to recommend your stuff and stay loyal and share your stuff out and bring more subscribers in. The other thing that we do sometimes is we add tweet this links, both in the content and in your newsletters, and also in the content upgrades themselves. So sometimes at the end of a content upgrade, we'll have a little call to action. So in like the PDF that we give away in the content upgrade, the call to action will say something like, did you find this useful? If so, click here to tweet the original article for this, that this resource came with. And that's also been pretty effective at getting existing subscribers who've just received a bunch of value from you to then get, to then kind of, tweet out or share the stuff that they just got from you. Somebody asked, would you recommend offering a content upgrade on every single post? We do at Audience Ops because we've kind of built it into our process. So it is very valuable and adds a lot of value. I think that the more that you can do it, the better. Again, you're adding more and more entry points. And as you're publishing more articles on your site, not only are you adding entry points for like search engine traffic, more landing pages on your site, but those are also unique email opt-in entry points as well. So the more that you can add them, the better. We do it on every blog post at Audience Ops and for our clients. On my personal site, these things take time to create that bonus content. So I try to add a content upgrade to maybe like one every other post that I do. So really whatever works for you. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up in just a minute or two. If you guys have any final questions here, just let me know. Let's see if I can get one from one of the survey questions. Somebody asked, should I develop my own email service rather than using Aweber, since the cost can increase dramatically as the list grows? I'm a whiz at database and systems integration. Simple answer on that one. The answer would be no. Don't build your own email list service. It doesn't make any sense. You'll waste more time and money building your own than you would spend on MailChimp or Drip or any of them. Scott Hack, you asked where the demo video is for the content upgrades plugin. Yeah, so if you just click this link here, the green box, content upgrades, that takes you straight to the purchase page for the plugin, and right across the top of the purchase page, that's where I put that demo video as well. So if you just go to contentupgrades.io/early, that'll redirect you to the page. It also resides at shop.audienceops.com. And someone asked about the free templates that I mentioned. You'll receive that in an email from me, I think sometime within the next hour from now. So you can look out for that. You'll get the download in an email. Will the plugin be functional on WordPress multi-site? Yes, it should work just fine on WordPress multi-site. Bilingual website built on multi-site. Yeah, I mean, I think at least the call to action in the blog post can probably be bilingual. If you're using like a multi-language plugin, since that's just content in your blog post. I don't know whether or not the pop-up text would be bilingual. Something worth testing out. I think you'll run into that issue with most plugins that add additional content to the site. Okay, guys, so we're going to wrap it up. And again, thank you all very much for attending and all the awesome questions and just tuning into all this stuff. I really appreciate you tuning in. It's great to hear from all you guys. And as always, you can reach out to me. You can simply just reply to any of the emails that you receive from me, any of the newsletters. That'll reach me directly, or Brian at Audience Ops or Brian at castjam.com. Either way. Again, the Content Upgrades plugin is at contentupgrades.io/early, and use early access to get 20% off. And that is happening today through the end of this week on Sunday night. So thank you guys so much. Take care.